sisters, niggas, whiteys, Jews, crackers. Don't worry. If there's hell below, we're all gonna go. People get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage. You just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the Jesus humming. You don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord.
It is the breadth of Curtis Mayfield's talent that is most astonishing. Singer, songwriter, guitarist, arranger, publisher, a remarkable career which has spanned over 30 years.
We people who are darker than blue, are we gonna stand around this town and let what others say come true? So what do you wanna do? Just move on up. For peace you man into the steamer of beautiful people where there's only one kind. If you had a choice of colors, which one would you choose, my brothers? And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. You're only one, fellas, girl. And I'm so proud.
In September 1990, Curtis Mayfield came here to Wingate Field in New York to play a benefit concert.
To be invisible will be my claim to fame. A man with no name. That way I won't have to feel the pain.
Before the concert, Mayfield was interviewed by community leader and radio talk show host Richard Green.
He went up on the stage, and as he got up on the stage, I remember the drummer was to his right. And he said to the drummer, something like strike it up or hit it, something to that effect, and the drummer started. And it's almost like as instantaneously as that drummer played 2 or 3 beats and the guitars or whatever started to hit, I looked up and everything just started to shake.
The wind was just kicking up.
The wind just came in like unbelievable. It just came in and everything just started to rock. Curtis was facing the audience and it just came down.
Today, Curtis Mayfield is a quadriplegic, unable to move his body below the neck. He leads a quiet life with his second wife and 6 of his 11 children in a suburb of Atlanta. Sadly, the severity of the accident has silenced one of the great American musical voices.
Obviously, for the last few years, you haven't been producing music. What do you do with the ideas and the dreams and the thoughts that are piling up in you?
Well, I'm at the moment, I guess I'm just sort of keeping it to myself. I hope to, in the very near future, with the high-tech technology and voice and computers and all of that stuff, maybe find a way to go back to writing and preparing compositions. However, you're right, I have not written any more songs.
But for a man as prolific as yourself, all these ideas you must be carrying around any number of songs, any number of ideas.
I'm sure I am. I have ideas, but if you can't jot them down or write them right away or get them to music, sometimes they fade like dreams.
saw the rising sun. Everyone was having fun.
I was fortunate that I did find myself in music at a very early age. I wrote Gypsy Woman when I was 12 years old.
I love her, the gypsy woman.
Curtis Lee Mayfield was born on the 3rd of June 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. His was not a comfortable neighborhood. In fact, Chicago could be an unforgiving city for those close to the poverty line.
I'm from the other side of town, out of bounds. To anybody who don't live around, I never learned to share or how to care. I never had no teachings about being fair. Depression is part of my mind. The sun never shines on the other side of town.
For much of this century, Chicago has been a focal point for African Americans escaping the despair of the South. But for many, the promised land of Chicago has proved to be a sad disappointment.
You know, people have a tendency to say that Curtis is perhaps a black Bob Dylan. I would say that Bob Dylan is perhaps a white Curtis.
Mayfield's closest friend as a boy was Jerry Butler. Like Curtis, Jerry loved music. The two boys grew up and practiced together in the tough Cabrini Green area of Chicago. People that moved in here, were they generally people who'd been in Chicago or people who came in from the South?
Well, you know, about, I guess, right after the World War, a lot of people migrated here from the South to get into the industrial work and all of that. But the area really started to change, I would think, when you started to getting single-family mothers and single families with kids, that kind of thing.
Changed in what way?
Changing in the sense that, first of all, there was no male presence. People went from workfare to welfare. The people had been living here were workers. All of a sudden, they were placed with people who were on welfare system. Some of that had a devastating effect on the whole area. This whole area, man, produced so many wonderful talents. And just here, 966, Curtis Mayfield. I can recall many a days just coming over here, meeting with he and his mother and his grandmother, sitting around talking. As a matter of fact, I met Curtis when he was 8 years old, singing in his grandmother's church, you know, and so Curtis and I really grew up together.
Curtis Mayfield's mother, Marion, lives alone on the south side of Chicago. As a young woman, she struggled to bring up 3 boys and 2 girls on her own. Did he take kind of responsibility as the leader of the family, as the one who looked after the brothers and sisters?
Yes, he did, cause as the older boy, because by the time Carolyn was born, he was 3. He could put a diaper on her as well as I did.
What kind of a boy was he? I mean, was he quiet, determined, extrovert?
He was always, I would say he was more introvert, because he was always one that liked to be to himself. And he was quiet. He liked to do things he always liked to do things on his own.
When did you first get the idea, though, of Curtis as a performer or as an entertainer?
Well, we knew that he enjoyed singing because as a 3-year-old, he used to stand on the tree stump in front of my grandmother's house in DuQuoin, Illinois, and sing Pistol Packing Mama to the engineers driving the trains by. But when he was 8 was when he really got the idea that he really wanted to play and sing, when he found the guitar and he wanted to play with his grandmother's, his cousins, and Jerry Butler had a group called the Jubilee Singers, Northern Jubilee Singers. And they wouldn't let him play because he was too young, because he was about 3 or 4 years younger than the rest of them. But when they found the guitar, Curtis was the only one that learned to play it. So they had to allow him to be their accompanist.
My mother was a very strong woman, I would say, you know, as I look back over the years. And We got along quite well in spite of the poverty. And of course, as young children, as long as there was happiness and respect within the house, proper discipline, we didn't know the difference until, of course, we became of age.
Was she a strict mother?
No. She was a reasonable mother, a woman of mentality, of mind, that could talk, express herself. In many ways, lots of things that I achieved today are probably her achievements, but she was just in the wrong time zone, you know, as a young woman with children.
A young and inquisitive Curtis attended Wells High School, a school that was more integrated than most in the Chicago area.
I was always an observer, and I was always the kid that asked why. Even when I had an answer, I'd ask why.
Why?
And because why always leads you to other sides, to other areas, other ways of giving explanation for sometimes the same thing. Why is what allows you to see something in one situation and also be able to see it in another.
Curtis spent most of his childhood years listening to groups such as Sam Cooke and the Coasters and Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. When he did attend school, his work was little more than average. But his mind was already focused on developing his own songwriting style, a style that featured strong narration, direct lyrics and simple yet seductive harmonies.
When we're in school and you're sitting next to me, I'm acting a fool just to get your attention. Can't you see? Good young lover with pigtails so long, I'll carry your books if you would only let me walk you home. Da, 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 da. Uh-huh. Da, 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 da. Uh-huh. Da, 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 da.
I know he told me once that his music teacher had told him that he had a degree in music and he couldn't make a living, and that Curtis would never make a living at it.
What did you think about that?
Well, I told him that he'd better learn as much as he could because he'd starve to death with that guitar.
Curtis learned how to play guitar from someone who was left-handed. And so a left-handed person tunes his guitar different than a right-handed person. And he never really knew the difference. He just knew that that was a different sound by tuning it up that way. And even though he was right-handed, he would tune it up the same way he learned it. And so he had a distinct sound that nobody had.